this is Divya, Assistant Professor, Biomedical Engineering Department in SNS College of Technology. In this video, we are going to see about the overview of a semiconductor. This is an electronic device in the circuit course. In this, we are going to see about the overview of the semiconductor. What is called semiconductor? Semiconductors are the materials which have the conductivity between the conductor and a non-conductor, which is called non-conductor or an insulator. Generally, what are called the conducting materials? The electricity which passes through a material is called a conductor, and the electricity which does not pass through a material is called a non-conductor or an insulator. Whereas the electricity which pass through for a certain period of time and then it does not conduct electricity, that material is called the semiconductor. Here it is the material what we are going to talk about. Okay, semiconductors can be components such as gallium arsenide or a pure element such as germanium or silicon. Okay, the semiconductors can be a compounds such as gallium arsenide or a pure elements or the pure elements such as germanium and silicon. Generally, we tell what are the semiconductor materials is that germanium and silicon. We default tell that the semiconductor materials are made up of germanium and silicon. Okay, it is also made up of the gallium arsenide material. A semiconductor is a substance whose resistivity lies between the conductor and the insulator. As I told you already, for a certain period of time, the material will conduct electricity, and after that, once it reaches its resistive point, after that it will be acting as an insulator. The resistive point will be an important one for the semiconductor materials. Semiconductors have the resistivity which is less than the insulator and more than the conductor. If it is more than the conductor, the electricity will pass through, and if it is less than the insulator will not conduct the electricity, right? The value will be very lesser than the insulator and more than the conductor. That is the thing. Semiconductors have negative feedback coefficients. The resistance in semiconductor increases with the decrease in temperature and vice versa. Once the resistance in semiconductor increases, the temperature decreases, and if the temperature increases, the resistance of the product will be decreased in this semiconductor material. The conducting properties of the semiconductor changes when the suitable metallic impurities is added to it. Once if the conducting properties changes according to the impurities added to the semiconductor material, which is an important property. This is a very important property. Okay, semiconductors are materials which have both conductivity between the conductor and a non-conductor or an insulator. Semiconductors can be the components such as gallium arsenide or the pure elements like germanium and silicon. Germanium and silicon are called as the pure semiconductor material, whereas the gallium arsenide is called an impure form of semiconductor material. Okay, the resistivity whose resistivity lies between this conductor and an insulator. Semiconductors have the resistivity which is less than the insulator and more than the conductor. Semiconductors have negative feedback coefficients also. Once if the temperature decreased, the resistance increased. If the temperature increased, resistance will be decreased. These are the properties of the semiconductor material. Next, the band theory in semiconductor material. What is called band theory? We have an energy gap between the conducting band, valence band, and a filled band. Okay, conduction band, where which lies between insulator. In insulator, here we can see the differentiation between the insulator, semiconductor, and non-conductor. In insulator, the conduction band and the valence band, we have a very big gap which is called the energy band gap. Okay, between the difference, the gap, the energy band gap between the valence band and the conduction band will be of very high. And whereas in the where we can default know that this material is an non-conductor. Okay, whereas in the conductor we can see that the conduction band and the valence band combines together. Okay, where we can know that this is a conducting material where the electricity passes through. Likewise, in the semiconductor we can see a minimum amount of gap between the conduction band and the valence band. We'll be finding an energy gap that is called Eg. Okay, where the material will act as a conductor for a certain period of time, and once it reaches the peak point, it acts as a semiconductor. This is the energy band diagram of the materials, which is differentiated here: insulator, semiconductor, and a conductor. In insulator, the where it does not conduct the electricity, the gap between the conduction band and the valence band is very high, and here in the conductor combines together, so it is known as the conducting material. And the semiconductor, where we have a minimum amount of gap, which is called the energy band gap. Okay, so since it is having the energy band gap, this system is called semiconductor material. Thank you.